Hello and welcome. I am DEJI360. The Nigerian government has commended the United States government for approving an emergency humanitarian waiver that allows people living with HIV to continue accessing treatment funded by the U.S. government across 55 countries, including Nigeria. Now, this new move comes after the U.S. Department of State had announced an executive order on an immediate 90-day funding pause for all foreign assistance, including for funding and services supported by the United States President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. That's the world-leading HIV initiative. The executive order was one of the first major foreign policy decisions of the Trump administration. But on Wednesday, the Joint United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS announced that the U.S. government has approved a waiver that allows people living with HIV to continue accessing treatment. A statement signed by the head of public relations now and protocol of the National Agency for the Control of AIDS in Nigeria, NACA, Toyin Aderibigwe, also revealed that the Nigerian government would intensify domestic resource mobilization strategies towards ownership and sustainability of the HIV response in the country with a view to reducing the risk of donor aid policy shifts while ensuring that the country's strategic goals and targets in the fight against HIV are achieved. Now, Nigeria has the ambitious target of ending AIDS by 2030, but without funding coming from places like the U.S., attaining that goal now, or target now, would definitely be a Herculean task. Joining me now to discuss all of these further is the CEO and Program Manager, AfriHealth Optonet Association, Uzodimma Adirije, who joins us from Abuja. Mr. Adirije, thank you very much for coming on the program. That waiver announced by the Trump administration must have come as a big relief for us, especially for those who are suffering from HIV and AIDS. And I'm just wondering what would have happened without that waiver.
First, let me say that I think we should have an understanding of the waiver. And waiver, I say it in quotes. Yeah. You may recall that there are 3 levels of gamuts of diseases that are prevalent at United States government is supporting the Global Fund and the rest of the world in overcoming. HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. So, it is relieving, understandable, that the United States government, through information relayed by NACA to us, has decided that it will continue to fund HIV program. Yeah. But there are other health and development programs in Nigeria for which US through its various agencies and sub-agencies are funded.
So those funding are not going to come again?
So what happens to those ones? I don't know. So what happens to those funding? That is one. 2, I would say frankly that regarding the issue of more resources, the DG of NACA has my sympathy, and I will explain. The DG of NACA is not responsible for budgetary allocation to
Absolutely.
NACA. The DG of NACA is not responsible for release of what is budgeted and approved. These interventions, which are prima facie in effort to work on HIV and AIDS in the country, depend on people who have not yet spoken. Namely, the National Assembly that is in charge of allocation, and the Federal Ministry of Finance that releases what is allocated. 2, the DG said federal government is increasing effort at resource allocation to fund HIV and AIDS. With due respect, I think that is not the proper approach. The proper immediate approach is that the federal government should review resource disbursement not mobilization. Resource allocation and disbursement, not mobilization, and I will explain. So if more resources are not mobilized, what happens?
I understand your point.
If the DG has said that the federal government is going to mobilize more resources, what if they fail to mobilize the resources? What happens? So the effort should be on allocation, distribution, utilization, and accountability for what is already available. Even if it means budget review or another budget, if it means review of the existing budget or supplementary budget, it should be an emergency. At this time, we are not going to be talking of resource mobilization because 2025 is already here. Resource mobilization, we should be talking about resource allocation and distribution of what is already available to overcome the problems that we are talking about. And then for 2026, we will now start talking of mobilization. But there is an emergency. There is an emergency. Even for, can you imagine for the past few days, from the 28th of January to yesterday, how many people must have died because funds may not be available because the US withheld this funding?
But what I want to ask you, Doc, what I want to ask is this. Does it mean without this funding coming from the United States of America, Nigeria on its own cannot fund this program? Nigeria cannot own this and fund it?
Very good. Which is what I am coming to. With every due respect, Nigeria should stop looking to the United States or any other country to provide health services for Nigerians. HIV, AIDS, TB, malaria, you name them, all manner of diseases. The federal government should, as a matter of national priority, pride, and emergency, stop looking to any other country in this world for one kobo to provide health services to Nigerians. Nigeria has enough money to provide health care for everybody in this country. Good enough, interestingly, the health insurance scheme is up, but it's not really working. It's not delivering. It's not delivering. The services are not swift. Enrollment is difficult. Yes, it's not easy to enroll. I'm speaking from a personal experience. And then how many people have enrolled? So it should come to a point where, one, the federal government should make it as a matter of priority that health should be on whatever list that federal government must fund completely throughout the country. Now, let me give you a small arithmetic. Apart from people who are in federal service, it takes 15,000 per annum for each Nigerian to enlist in national health insurance outside formal sector and outside subsidized sector. So even if you say all the 200 million Nigerians are subscribing to it at 15,000 naira per annum, it wouldn't be much. The country can afford it. Nigeria can afford 15,000 on the head of every Nigerian every year. Nigeria can afford it. So that is one prime area that government should look at. Let us stop looking at foreign countries to fund our health system. Why are they not funding the National Assembly? Why are they not funding the presidency? Why are they not funding the governors? Why are they not funding the permanent secretary? Why are they not funding people? So why is it the health of the ordinary citizen that we must be looking at foreign countries to fund for
obviously
us? Why are they not funding?
So obviously this you know, the executive order and then the waiver that the U.S. president later granted is a wake-up call for us, no doubt.
Apart from a wake-up call, it is an indictment, and I will explain. It wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. Noah heard that there will be flood and prepared. Built his ark and waited for the flood. Donald Trump didn't hide it, that he was going to go against all these subsidies. Why is he taking us by surprise? I expected the 2025 budget of Nigeria to factor in that there will be no subsidy from the United States, because Trump was waiting inauguration before 2025. For us to wait until he has made the announcement and begin to run up and down, it became a caricature of a nation and a continent, if I may say, is embarrassing. Nigeria can afford to provide free health services, 15,000 naira per Nigerian every year. And let me tell you, you know that 15,000 naira is less than $10. So. No, yes. It's true. Yes, it's less than $10. Yes. So if you say that federal government should spend $10 on every Nigerian for 200 million people in a year, it is just $1 billion. So, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
A senator can afford $1 billion. Politicians can afford $1 billion. The federal government can afford $1 billion. If you say 200 million Nigerians, because 15,000 naira is less than $10.
So
and if 15,000 naira is,
yeah, just go on. Go on. I'll allow you to finish.
And 15,000 naira is what the average Nigerian needs to enroll in national health insurance to enjoy basic health services in a year. So federal government can afford to bring out 1 billion for health insurance for Nigerians in a year. It's not up to it, because when you look at 1,650, that is the exchange rate, then you are just looking at some amount less than that.
That's true. That's true. So
you understand? So it will just so what it means that the federal government should look at it. This is 200 million people, $10 per annum, less than $10 per annum for each of them to be enrolled in national health insurance, and that is 1 billion. That is $1 billion. So Nigeria can afford $1 billion, close eye, bring $1 billion and provide free health services for everybody in Nigeria, and reduce the challenge people have in enrolling in health insurance. We need to cut waste.
So
we need to concentrate on what delivers on the welfare of.
So what do you expect of the government now with this development? Yes, it's true. We have some kind of reprieve. We have some kind of reprieve now, but you never can tell. Months down the road, President Trump can just decide to take it off again. So you never can tell. What do you expect the government to do now?
As we speak, the government of President Trump gave 3 months so they can finish and clear up and have clear policies on ground. What I expect us to do is to plan and work as if the aid from the United States does not exist and will never come. Nigeria should plan and work as if no foreign aid will come for health services in this country. The money is not much. It's 1 billion. There are individual Nigerians, members of National Assembly, people in government who can afford 1 billion. And the federal government of Nigeria did a budget of $28 billion for this year. Listen to me, sir. The African Union leaders gathered in Abuja in 2001 and agreed that each of the countries in Africa, with Nigeria leading in the agreement, should spend 15% minimum of its national budget on health. This year, Nigeria budgeted $28 billion. If you get 15% of $28 billion, are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Very good. 10% of that 28 billion is 2.8 billion. But 1 billion can afford to put all Nigerians on automatic health insurance. Yet, Nigeria didn't budget up to 1 billion. Nigeria budgeted Not up to 1 billion. They gave 2.8 trillion or something. So it's not even up to that. So the issue is that the country should brace up.
That's true.
Allocate 15% of our annual budget to health. If you do it to 28 billion, you are talking about something like over 3 billion would be for health. But just use 1 billion out of those three and provide automatic health insurance without undue process of go and come, as is being had now, for Nigerians to enroll on health insurance.
Yeah, and let me just take you back to that budget. Our budget, 2025 budget, health budget is just 5.18%. That's 2.4, yes, 2.48 trillion.
Yes, 2.8 billion. So it's not up to, it's very few billion US dollars. Yes. So it's less than 1 billion. It's less than 1
yes,
billion
far
US
less
dollars.
than $1 billion.
So it is it's an embarrassment. We called Africa, rolled out our drums, spent our resources, and agreed that 15% minimum of national budget should be allocated to health. From the day it was instituted till now, no Nigerian government at the federal level has allocated 15% of its budget to health. So it is about time to do it. And doing it wouldn't do much. Even if you get this $28 billion and we say, okay, let's allocate just 10%. That would be $2.8 billion. It's enough to now provide free health insurance for all Nigerians at 15,000 naira per person per year, and then do infrastructure. Let me tell you the cumulative effect. The economy will receive a boom. Do you know why? More people will access health, and so will be healthy to do their work. That's one. More people will save money they would have used to go and pay for health services and invest it in their own welfare and businesses, and turn it over and then pay tax. Governance.
I'm just wondering that, you know, how those suffering from HIV and AIDS, I mean, how they would feel at this moment, and the fear that, you know, anything could just go.
So the federal government, this is a simple thing, the federal government should declare a state of emergency in health, so that more resources outside the regular budget will be pushed into it. I don't want us to be waiting for what is coming from the United States or any donor. It can go anytime. The fact that it has been pronounced means it can go.
That's true.
It's because people are challenging it in court. When the government firms up and goes to the Republican-led parliament in the US, they will give automatic approval. It becomes law. So that second wave of Trumpism should not happen to us as a surprise.
And it's just unfortunate that we're not the only ones affected. Most African countries are affected as well, and it's really a shame.
Let me also explain something to you. I am an individual. I think Nigeria has a leadership role to play in Africa. All these other countries are not as endowed as we are, both in human resources, in money, and then in power of population. Nigeria is a huge market. So I would pray that we don't begin to say, because Gabon, because South Sudan is affected, Nigeria is also affected. The comparison wouldn't arise. Right. We used to be the biggest economy in Africa. We used to be the biggest. So it is time for renaissance. It's time for us to sit down as government, as led, as governed, as citizens, as Nigerians, and roll back and make provision for every Nigerian to access health without encumbrance of finance. That 15,000 per annum can be guaranteed by the federal government, frankly, and is a very small money. It's less than. It's a very small money. It's less than 10% of our annual budget. So right. It's less than 10% of our annual budget, and I think it is something we can do. We just need to be disciplined and put resources where they matter most.
All right, Doc, I think
where citizens have the greatest need.
All right, Doc, we'll just have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Dr. Uzodimma Adirieje, who is, of course, the CEO and Program Manager, AfriHealth Optinet Association. Thank you very much for coming on the program, and thanks for your time. All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us, don't go away. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.